In the current photographic context, a need that many photographers share is the ability to be able to capture their images in a tethered context. In other words, what photographers need to be able to do is to connect their cameras to their computer so that they can then fire away so that the images will be transferred directly to the computer's hard drive. Now, why would you actually need to be able to do this? Well, let's say, for example, in my own context, the other day I was doing a commercial shoot and the art director and creative director wanted to see what was happening in regards to the shoot, wanted to get a feel for the overall tone of the images right away. So in that particular context, connected the camera to the computer, and in this case I was using Lightroom 3, and these images were coming up directly right inside of Lightroom so that they could evaluate the progress of the shoot. And it was a real helpful tool in order to get some good feedback and also in order to get the client to really buy in on my overall vision and idea for the shoot. So one of the things that's great about Lightroom 3 is that tethered shooting is finally easy. Now we could do this in Lightroom 2, although it was a little bit awkward. So here what I want to do is introduce you to this tethered shooting window. We can see this down below here in the screen grab of Lightroom. What are some of the items that we're going to see here? Well, one of the things that we're going to see is that you can select a camera. This is actually kind of interesting because you can choose between different cameras that you have connected to your computer. This could be helpful if you have two different cameras, one with a wide angle lens or one with a zoom or two different perspectives. Again, you can select which camera you want to capture from. Next, you can define your folder or your shoot name in a particular way. Say all these images will be saved to this particular location. Then we have some camera information, the f-stop, shutter speed, ISO, and white balance. And the interesting thing about this is that basically this is giving us a little bit of a larger view of our camera settings. And this is really helpful. Let's say, for example, we realize, oh man, I don't want to use auto white balance. I need to use a different type of white balance. Well, this little dialog will show us our camera settings so that then we can make any changes that are needed. The next option is actually kind of interesting. Here you can see that we can apply our presets upon import. In other words, let's say, for example, we want to create images that are all sepia tone. What we could do then is select that preset so that when the images are actually captured, that preset is applied to the photograph. And again, this can be really fun so that you can have some creative results. It also can be a little bit more functional. For example, let's say you're doing a shoot and you know that the images will be printed in black and white, and the client really wants to get into this whole idea of this look in black and white. Well, in that case, you could choose a develop setting that was black and white and then instantly see that particular perspective of the photograph inside of Lightroom. All right, a couple more things here. The little gear icon, if you click on that, it'll open up your settings dialog where you can modify some of the settings for the tethered shooting. You can also close or stop the tethered capture. Then finally, there is a shutter release button that is located right inside of Lightroom. So you can actually click this and trigger your shutter and capture the image from right inside of Lightroom. You can, of course, also simply press the shutter release button on your camera. But it's nice that we have two options here because in some situations, we may have the camera in a particular position. Say it's really high on top of a pole or on top of a really tall tripod and we can't reach the shutter release. Well, in those situations, we could trigger it this way or for some other creative purposes as well. All right, well, now that we've been introduced a little bit to the overall tethered shooting window, let's go ahead and take a look at how this works, and we'll do that in the next movie.